Hi, Monica.
Hello, Amy. How are you?
I am great. Welcome to the Wins podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Finally made it here. This is a win for me to get my schedule together to actually be sitting here with you. So, thanks for being persistent. I appreciate it.
It is a win. It's a win for me, and I totally get it. Sometimes getting these things scheduled and done are the win in and of itself, and then whatever
Yep,
comes from it is the bonus.
absolutely. I feel you.
So I'm excited to dig into your wins today.
Okay.
The podcast, has taken a bit of it's evolved, right? Like every content series does and every business does. So I evolved the show from being specifically talking about women influencing sports, which you are, to women in business
Okay.
because it made sense, right? And so the focus now is digging into the big moves women make to win in business.
Okay. I like it.
Right? And it's no surprise that a lot of the women that I interview are going to be in sports and athletes because it's how we think. Okay.
Yep.
So let's jump in. I'm excited to talk about some of the stories behind your wins, but I want to kick it off as I like to do, where every woman I interview is multidimensional.
Yeah.
There are so many descriptors that a person could use, as we, kind of talk about these women in business. Everybody's doing a lot.
Right.
And you are in your bio, I mean, you're listing them all out so nicely for me. So, educator, business owner, speaker, athlete, record-breaking basketball star in high school, athletic director, coach. Your list is long.
Yeah. I think I have 14 jobs. I think that's what
Yeah,
I.
like I'm like 1, 2, 3. I have to. I lost count. Um, so in short, you went from being a really successful, recognized athlete to
Yeah.
a television personality to
Yeah.
a coach to a public speaker. And I want to get into it. How
Yeah.
did it all happen? Right?
Listen, this is, my story may be different than other people. This was the most organic journey like ever. Like real talk, Amy. Like I started in education. That was by accident, simply because my dad was a PE teacher. My mom was a nurse, but she worked in administration. So she was basically she ran maternal and child health for the District of Columbia. She has a master's degree also. So she wasn't in the practice of nursing from the, doing stuff for patients. She was in the administrative role, telling other nurses, working with government and things of that nature. So they both had good jobs, right? And I just remember them when I graduated college just saying, listen, you're getting ready to be off our insurance. You better figure out like a good gig. And a good gig was getting paid every 2 weeks and, having the health insurance. And this was a long time ago. We're talking, 94. Um, and I was like, well, I'm still not done playing. Like I like playing sports. And my dad was a PE teacher. So I thought, ooh, education makes sense. And I'll get into being a PE teacher, health educator, athletic director, and coaching. And that seemed like the mecca. Like if I could pull that off, that's it. Do that until you retire and still have fun. So that's where it started and why it started. And then I realized that in that some of the leadership stuff that I was able to do in sports kept coming through even in my career. Why don't you be the leader of this committee? Why don't you go talk to the principal and tell them we need to change this? Why don't you constantly being pushed to the front? And I'm simultaneously still playing competitive flag, and I'm getting ready to start at this time in my career in education. I'm learning about the DC Divas, and so I'm still playing. I'm still active, right? And so it just became this thing again that happened organically. So then I start playing for the Divas while I'm still teaching. I meet a friend, their teammate, and we just were really despondent about the education system in the District of Columbia. She thought we could do a better job. And I thought almost anybody could. Yeah, shout out to the poor job in DC. Boop, keeping it real. But I thought you could edit that if you want, but you can leave it in as far as I'm concerned. And so I thought, we could do a better job also. So we got together, put our heads together, and we built a school. We built a school for students that were 17 to 22 years of age. Every single one of them had a full-time IEP, and 99.7% of them, I just want to say that because I think we had one kid once that had not been involved in the juvenile justice system, meaning they had not been arrested. And there was this correlation for me. What really resonated with me is that these kids are getting charged and going to juvenile detention. And then when we're testing them, they're reading on a third grade level. Math scores are so low, we can't even get good data. And I'm like, yeah, there's a mix here. There's a match here. There's a reason for this. And so I really just believed if we built a school with academic remediation and this holistic approach of taking care of, oh, I don't know, the whole freaking human being, that we could turn around those test scores and the recidivism rate. We could directly impact that. And we did. And we did. And from that, people were like, oh my gosh, come talk to my teachers about how you were able to make this impact and these changes. And so I started there. And then a collaborative in DC would find out and they were like, can you speak here? And then I realized that I really liked speaking and people responded to it. At the same time, like you said, I had many little tentacles going on here. I started a CPR and first aid training business. And that was done again by accident. It was for the need. Our students at the school, I wanted to get them internships. And in order for them to have these internships, they had to be CPR and first aid certified. I'm talking, I called Target, Best Buy, different restaurants that my buddies owned in DC, and everybody was saying the same thing. And I thought, well, let me get certified so that I can, at the level, so that I can certify these students and not send them to some boring, dry, normal CPR class. And so it kept putting me in front of people in these these duo roles, right? With teachers and educators wanting to know about the success we had. Always having to speak and defend against DCPS in these meetings, why we still need our funding. And then I'm in front of people with the CPR and I'm doing it differently. Music, throwing out candy. We're laughing and joking. I'm dressing the mannequins. And people started saying, do you do anything else? Like I would go and train a corporate space. What else do you train on? This was so fun. Do you do leadership training? Well, yeah, I do. Right? You do goal setting. How much you paying? Yes, I do. Right. And so, and then it literally spiraled and it was one thing after another. Somebody would see me speak and then they would say, hey, you need to come to my law office and do this. And yeah, so I'll pause there because I think there's some things that come out of that, like always, just take a chance on yourself,
Yeah.
and I did that and it just kept evolving.
Yeah, it's really clear, when you tell the story and you said it a few times, you're like, I didn't plan for it. It was organic, but it seems like when an opportunity arose, you took it.
Yeah.
And
And that's the thing that I tell women all the time, especially women or anybody, right? Like, I think I did a really good job. And that came from, I think, being an athlete, right? That like, it's game time. This is your opportunity. Put me in, coach, and you better do something with the ball, right? And so I think sometimes we sideline ourselves and we're like, oh, I don't know. That's not in my wheelhouse. I don't have experience. Well, the only way nobody has experience until they have experience, right? Like you have to do it to gain the experience over and over and over again. Nobody wakes up. You don't pop out of the womb as a subject expert, right? You become one. And
yeah,
so yeah, I just took the opportunities were there and I said, what's the worst that can happen? I can go back to my life that's pretty freaking good already.
yeah.
So yeah, I grabbed them.
You grab the opportunities. The words I wrote down, you mentioned like, I realized, and then I
Mhm.
realized, and it's like, well, in order to realize, you need to be observing and listening and
Mhm.
watching and seeing the opportunity, right? So sometimes it's like you're not, maybe people don't see an opportunity. They're not thinking like, oh, what could this be? Or somebody says, oh, you could do this. You said it really well. You're like, somebody said, do you offer, XYZ? And you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
like I
the
do.
answer's always yes. The answer is always yes, and I
Yeah.
figure it out.
And,
Okay.
and I think the other thing that's coming out for me here as I went back to your bio, all-star running back, offensive MVP.
Yeah.
So the mindset
Yeah.
that maybe you were born with I always wonder that to myself, like, in sports, watching anybody play sports, some people seem to be just born with this, like, I don't care, I'm going,
Right,
like, I don't feel
right,
bad, I'm
right.
gonna go, I'm gonna score, like, I'm gonna do it, right? And there's people that, especially I like, look, I have 3 daughters, so watching girls play sports, it's like they're either tentative or they're
Mhm.
like sort of there's unbridled aggression, right? And it's like, and I love seeing that with athletes. I wonder if that aspect of you, this sort of offensive MVP, right? This go-getter, like
Right.
it's the same with your approach to business. Like, I'm gonna get through there and I'm gonna get
Yeah.
to the end zone, like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, shoot, that's where the money is in the end zone, right? I mean, I think it's a combination of things like, I think some of it is DNA, certainly, but I also think I don't like to focus on that so much because I think it pigeonholes people, right? I think it provides us as individuals, as humans, with an excuse to either be great or to be sedentary, to be like, well, it's not in my DNA. I didn't have any role models. I didn't, all of that. And yeah, my parents were fantastic. We were raised with this, like, you're smart and you can do anything you want attitude. And, some people were trying to figure out after high school if they were going to college. My parents, I always joke about the fact that, yeah, college was 13th grade for my brother and I. Like, it wasn't a choice. It was just like, where the only choice we had is where are you attending 13th grade, right? And so yes, the foundation I think is important, but I think what's more important is that people realize that they have this own inner power, and if you feed that it and nurture that, it will grow regardless of who your mama is, your daddy is, who you're related to, where you live. And I think it's in the habits, right? And we talk a lot about this and some of the work that I do with Limitless Minds. And that is that, there's this untapped potential that we all have. And if you lean into being, lean into gratitude and think about what you're thankful for and really be intentional about that, it's almost like the universe kind of, or whatever you believe in, rewards that. And I think then, you have to, be intentionally resilient and say, today I'm going to get up and I'm going to put this foot in front of the other and I'm going to go for it. And self-talk. Colin Henderson, the guy I work with at Limitless Mind, says you will never outperform. Oh, I'm going to screw it up now. Sorry, Colin. You'll never outperform the story that you tell yourself. And that really hit me, and this self-talk, and we hear about it, right? But it's true. You're never going to be better than what you think about yourself. Stop thinking about what other people think about you. What do you think about you? Right? If you think that you are a winner, then the chances of you being a winner that day increase dramatically. If you think you're a CEO and you don't even have a company, guess what, peeps? You a CEO that day will get the company. So it's the mindset. And I don't think it's something you're born with. I don't think it's something that necessarily has to do with, how you were raised. Those are influences, but they do not have to be the determining factor to how great you can be in terms of, tapping into your own passion and your own impact. And that's what it's about for me, is impact.
Right. Clearly it's about impact. The things that you mentioned that you created. I mean, you're clearly a creator and an entrepreneur, right? You
Yeah.
started a school
Yeah.
because there was something that wasn't being done right. You became certified, I think you said in CPR because it was needed, right? And so filling all these gaps and solving all these problems just by going and doing it yourself is really amazing. I think what I want to ask is, this idea of you've navigated the world in your own way,
Yeah.
and maybe you're seeing paths and opportunities that other people might not see, or, maybe it isn't in their nature. Maybe it hasn't been, taught to them, or they haven't
Right.
experienced it, right? They haven't exercised the muscle of like seeing the opportunities. My question is, for you personally,
Mhm.
is there ever fear present when you're doing something for the first time? And if yes, how do you tackle it?
Yeah, so of course, right? Like, and I think that if you're not scared or nervous, sometimes something's wrong with you. Go talk to somebody, right? Because if you really truly are invested in making sure you do a good job, you want it to land correctly. And that can be scary, especially in terms of being a speaker. 500 people in the room. Trying to make 500 people simultaneously laugh at the same time, engaged at the same time, learn at the same time is a feat, right? It's a feat. And I think, so yeah, I get, not nervous, but scared about or fearful that is my material right now going to land for this particular group. But I'll tell you again, leaning back on athletics, there's something beautiful about the pivot. And I think that I am, that's one of my superpowers is the pivot. I can have a prepared something and I get there and I'm picking up a different vibe or something else happens or overhear a couple of conversations and I pivot towards that and I'm able to connect with the audience in that way. The way to deal with fear is to let it sit there, count to 4, let it live there. Okay, you're here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not even giving it 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now get out of my way. Right? Stiff arm them, slam dunk on it, whatever it takes, push them out the way. But I don't let it tackle me. I realize it, I acknowledge it, and then I plan for it and I move through it. And I think everybody should try to do that. Don't try to say, oh my gosh, I'm fearful, something's wrong, I'm not good at this. It's okay. But what are you going to do with that fear? And if you walk through it, run through it, charge through it, then fear doesn't, it dissipates. It doesn't show up as often. I was getting ready to go on stage in Boston the other day, and one of my colleagues was with me, and she literally said, "Are you nervous?" And I turned to her, I said, "No." And she was like, "I can't," and I don't get nervous at all when it's time for me to step on the stage. I'm nervous before that in prepping my stuff. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't have enough. I have too much," all of that. But when I jump on there and the people are there are no nerves. And I think the reason that there isn't because I have prepared for the moment. So I think that's another key to pushing aside fear, pushing aside imposter syndrome, all those little stories that start to come. Are you sure you're good enough? Is the preparation. I find that the more prepared you are, then it's easier to relax your shoulders because you're ready no matter what happens. It's kind of like when you look at the weather, right? Like, and you see it's going to rain. If you bring your umbrella and bring the jacket that you want to get wet and think about leaving earlier so you can park closer to the building, then when you get there and pull in and get out of your car, you really don't care that it's a thunderstorm. And everybody else is like, "Oh my gosh, it's a freaking a thunderstorm." And I'm like this. I got my umbrella, my slicker, my boots, singing in the rain because I'm prepared. So I think preparation pushes fear aside.
Yeah, so a lot of things I like. So I love the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gone.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
don't
Fun.
give it 5. That's really
Nope.
funny.
You get to
Um,
5, you'll sit there and count to 10.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I
Disrupt
like
the rhythm.
don't let
Okay.
it go over the 5. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense to me. Plan for it, have a strategy, but the other thing you said was also be prepared to pivot. I think maybe that pivot part is a little bit of a superpower. Certainly people that are up on stage, especially like people that do improv and comedy,
Mhm.
the ability to read a room and understand that I'm going to go to this place instead of that place because
Right.
I'm not hearing that. I think that's actually incredible. The ability to sort of say, I'm going to walk into this room and I have a plan, but if it doesn't go the way I want, I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to go in another direction.
Right. Right. Well, and the other thing is nobody knows your plan A.
Mhm.
Nobody knows your plan B. Nobody knows your plan C. So here's the thing. If I'm confident, they all of a sudden don't even know that I messed up or this is even plan B. I was somewhere and the TV screens and stuff went down and the audio visual guy was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. You don't have slides and whatever." And the meeting director was like, "Do you want to cancel? Do you want to come back later? Do you?" And I was like, "No, let's go." And meanwhile, inside, I'm like, I have no idea how this is getting ready to go. But what it did was it calmed everybody else in the room down. They were like, "Oh, she's got it." And I'm thinking, do I? Right. But
Yeah.
I opened with a couple of AV jokes. They laughed. I got them back in and we went with it. And I did some storytelling. stories that I already know, right? So I was prepared, soft prepared, but still, so this thing of exuding confidence and being prepared, I think assist in the pivot.
Definitely. And the experience, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
this one time for the first time. And then after that, I had this conversation recently too. After the first time, you're like, well, I've done it before. So I have more confidence. I've done it. I survived. They
yep,
liked it. It's going to work. So let's talk a little bit about your speaking.
yeah.
Uh, so so I see electives, IO, and then I see motivational speaker, professor. This is
Mhm.
like job 10, 11, 12.
You got
Um,
it.
you've spoken to tens of thousands of people
Yeah,
while presenting for national organizations such as the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, FedEx, Reddit, Amazon. Okay, so you are out there doing it.
yeah,
Um, let's talk about, the jump from the first few speaking gigs,
yeah.
that opportunistic attitude and approach, like, yeah, I could do that. Like, I'm going to do that, to where you are now talking to these big corporations on big stages all over. Is it the world or the country or
It's world. It's world. I've
world? Over the world.
Russian embassy, Ghana. Yeah. So I've been very, very fortunate and very lucky. Yeah, I can speak to that. So it really started again with the CPR business, and then people kept asking me. Positive Coaching Alliance was, I think, my first paid speaking platform, or what do you call them, like bureau, so to speak. And I learned their material and slid my stories and stuff in it and did really well. And they would send me all over the country. And it was amazing. And I thought, I can do this. Like, I love talking to people. I love sharing my stories, and people seem to respond to it. And so I said, I'm just going to jump full in. I'm going to quit every job that I have, and this is what I'm going to do. I've been an entrepreneur I haven't had a regular, what I call, job in 15 years now. And so it, again, happened really organically, and that's Positive Coaching Alliance. And then electives.o was through a relationship. And again, I create my own material, and they book me in these four different companies. They're extremely, just, this learning platform is incredible. It's uh things you never thought you'd learn from people you never thought you'd meet, kind of thing. And so I work with some really incredible people. What I will tell you, Amy, is I think the secret sauce to life is relationships. And so every single opportunity I've had, if I made like this little chart, I could trace it back to a person that said, put Monica on. And so I don't do this thing. Like, I know some speakers apply open speaker calls. It's not me. I don't even know if I would resonate well with my one sheeter in an email. I like to be around people, with people, talking to people, making the connection. And I think taking care of relationships is one of the most important things you can do in life. If you take care of relationships, the people that care for you and you care for them, then all the other stuff is all the other stuff, and it's going to happen. We have a saying in sports that said, if you do your job, do what you're supposed to do, the scoreboard will take care of itself, right? You don't even have to look up there. If you have studied your position, looked at the plays, studied film, given it maximum effort, don't even look at the scoreboard. When you turn to it, it should be in your favor. So the scoreboard would take care of itself. I look at my playbook and film and the workouts and training and all that as the relationships of the people in my life. And if I'm taking care of those, the scoreboard, which is the speaking gigs, it takes care of itself. I don't apply to anything. My phone rings and people say, do you want to come do this? Heck to the yeah. Every single time. Never, I'm saying this right here, ever has Monica Livingston looked for a call for speakers, filled out an application, and applied for it, and somebody called. Every single one of those logos on my website or wherever you got it, or anytime you see me speaking, is relationship based. And I
Has to
think,
be more than that,
yeah,
though.
well,
Have
I
to
mean,
be
I'm good.
really, really good at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little good too, but I don't suck, right? but the people that I have relationships with know that. So, right. But it's still back to them. And I think they also know that I'm going to take care of the client. I don't just show up and, say what I think's important. I don't do canned talks. I meet with people and say, what do you think? What is your magic wand? What do you want your people in your company to walk away with? If I could say abracadabra, what do you want John to feel? Do you want Timmy to cry? What do you want, people, whatever, laugh, whatever, and then, craft that for them specifically. And I think that's important to people too, because it goes to that they feel seen, heard, and valued if I'm talking to them about what they want the outcome to be and then deliver that. I always say I'm just the DJ. It's your party. I'm just the DJ and I'm trying to turn it up.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really touch yet on like you as the comedian, right? Because, in your bio, it does say that you were twice named winner of Comcast SportsNet's funniest sports celebrity in Washington.
True story. True story.
So maybe, you're being humble, right? The relationships have a massive impact on your success. Your care for your reputation has had a massive impact on your success. The delivery of your product, right, which is
Yeah.
you on stage or, or
Right.
whatever it is, has had a massive impact of your on your success. So all these things are working together, and it's unbelievable to hear you say that you have never applied to be a speaker. You have never picked up the phone. All of these opportunities are showing up for you, and 100% it's because you're doing something really, really, really well that is making people pick up the phone and bring you to their event, their thing.
Right.
So let's talk about the comedy for a
Yeah,
second.
I think it's that. I think you hit on it. I am a firm believer, and I've been saying this since the CPR days. When I started that company 14, 15 years ago, our tagline was learn and laugh. That's what I went with. I think that if you can make people laugh, then it increases their retention level. They're able to really listen and not just listen to what you're saying, but then hold on to it after you get off stage and be willing and feel like they want to implement it. And so there's always a bit of humor, even when I'm doing DE&I stuff. And that's the thing that blows people's minds. I do a video before, say, make sure you come. We're going to be discussing, racism and, homophobia and then all those things that are really easy to talk about. And we're going to have fun. And people are like, what? How is it even freaking possible? How are racism and fun in the same sentence? And I show them. And I think it makes people break down their barriers. Well, if everybody's laughing and having a good time, they can relax. And then we can learn, we can share. We feel like, and that's where we start to really fix some of this stuff, right? That's in our society, is we have to keep talking. And when people stop talking and they only talk to each other, well, I know he is. Well, yes, she is. Well, then you're in these silos, right? So who's doing the talking together? The talking, I hate the term across the aisle, but you know what I mean. And I think laughter is the best thing to bridge many different worlds. Because funny is funny. Music is like that too. You don't want to hear me sing and I can't play a damn thing. So I got to try to tell some jokes every now and then. And I think that's the bridge. I think humor can be the bridge where it's a unifier. Humor is a unifier. And that's how I use it and people have said at the end of it, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Wow, I had a good time at a training on microaggressions. What? Okay, so for me, I think I'm funny if you know my family. I don't think I'm stand-up comedy funny. But some people, I was in at the Improv and those shows that you're talking about where I won for Comcast. It was for a charity event. And so I did it 2 years in a row. It was a lot of fun. I have such respect for real comedians writing material and then standing up there, delivering that material to an audience that you don't get to meet with or know first or research and really talk about from all different walks of life when you're in that environment versus when I go to speak with a company, there's some kind of synergy, some company culture. So I know the types of people that I'm talking to mostly. Um, but yeah, comedians have it. That's a huge job. I don't consider myself one. I consider myself a humorist. I like humor. I participate in it. I will not call myself a comedian because I have too much respect for actual real comedians that stand on stages night after night after night telling jokes to drunk people. Okay.
Yeah,
Like, that's hard.
very
Okay.
true. And you make a really good point. You do get to prepare in advance for in as much as you can for the
Right.
audience that you're going to speak to. But I think that is probably the secret sauce because when you talk about making people laugh, which you clearly can do because I've already laughed a bunch of times during this call. When you can make people laugh, even one person laugh, you're
Mhm.
pulling them out of whatever thought process they've been in, right? Like you're kind of jolting them out of wherever they were into the present moment. And if you're doing it like you said in a room filled with 500 people and you're getting half the room, three-quarters of the room to react and laugh, well you're having each one of those people is having that moment where
Yeah.
they're like, man, I was stressed before I came in here. This is funny. I just laughed. I mean, it's really not easy to make people laugh. It's not. I mean, for some
Really?
people it is.
Okay.
Some people it is. But for a lot of people it's not. And I think I don't know, on a daily basis, like there have to be a lot of people out there that don't laugh every day. And I feel sad about that.
Me too. I try to laugh as many times as possible in a day. And you know that it's healing and that it works because what people say, somebody makes them laugh and they go, oh, I needed that. Because exactly what you just said, it jolted them for that moment away from whatever those stressors are. you know um I say get yourself a good feed, on some type of social media, and that you can just laugh at. I go on TikTok and I crack up laughing, right? And I keep my algorithm specifically, like, I think you have to like certain things. I guess that's how it works. And I make sure that my algorithm stays funny. I don't want any serious news on that. I can turn on the TV for that. I can turn on my TikTok is for when I'm having a day and I go, oh my gosh, and I'm cracking up laughing. And then I go into a meeting and I take that energy, in there with me. And the reason that I think is so important for us to intentionally try to, do that is because it builds and it broadens, right? So you catch this. Like, I feel like uh, funny is contagious, right? And that's why, if you ever been somewhere with a bunch of friends and somebody starts telling a story and somebody's cracking up laughing, you don't even know the story yet, and then somebody across from starts laughing, and then it's like dominoes, people are laughing, nobody's even told the freaking joke yet, right? But it's just that it's funny to even watch someone crack up laughing, and so it builds and broadens. I think it's a healer. I think it's a unifier. And I wish that more people would be more intentional about, just being lighter. Just throw your shoulders back, look at something funny, say something funny, tell dad jokes in a meeting at the beginning of a meeting. I think, people should start meetings like that. I start every virtual meeting with music or a joke. And they're not even good jokes, but it tells people, it sends a signal that we're going to be in a safe space. We're going to have a good time. I can drop my shoulders some and relax. So, yeah.
I really love it. I I think you're right. I think we need more of that. It is contagious.
Yeah.
For sure. When you told the story about like, the guy across the aisles laughing, I don't even know why I'm laughing. When you
Right.
see someone doubled over, unable to stop laughing, you have to laugh. Like there's just no way. There's a clip, I think it's Jimmy Fallon with Bradley Cooper. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I think so. I think I know. And they're just crying. Jimmy Fallon's like crying,
They couldn't
laughing, right?
stop.
Like,
They couldn't stop.
I don't even know what they were talking about. Like, I just remember them, especially Jimmy, crying, laughing, Yeah, and if we watch that right now, both of us would start laughing.
He couldn't tell the story. Bradley Cooper couldn't finish the story about the movie he was in because they kept laughing. And I just love that clip so much. I love to laugh. I love comedy. Um,
Yeah. It's like a yawn, It's the same thing. When somebody yawns, The other person yawns, and we say yawns are, I think humor is the exact same way. And I think if we wake up in the morning and we decide, am I going to be somebody's yawn today, or am I going to be somebody's participate in their happiness today? We can be in control of that. It's all about just being intentional.
Yeah. So with I mean, I have so many questions.
Of
So
course.
I wonder to myself, was humor always part of your strategy? Is it part of who you are? You talked about your family. Like if you know my family, like
Yeah.
we're funny, right?
Yeah.
So was it always part of your strategy as a speaker, or did you start to kind of gradually bring it in? Because clearly now it's part of your winning strategy. It's why people are picking up the phone and calling you to come to their corporations and talk about difficult things with
Yeah.
people.
It wasn't, let me tell you, I decided that I wasn't the type of speaker I was going to be was just me. And I think that's the other thing that people tap into. I was looking at Tony Robbins, I was looking at all these people and I thought, yeah, let me stop even. I'm not going to imitate anybody. I don't want to be anybody. If somebody wants to hear this story about my injury, I think it was like one of the first ones I told, and the adversity and resiliency that came from this injury that ended my career, and how I battled back and all of the things in that, and that makes them a better leader and whatever, then all I have to do is show up as me. And I have to trust that I don't have to be Tony Robbins. I don't have to have these products. I don't have to, even be in the tip top shape that I was in my playing days. If I just show up as me, because more people listening to you are like you than you think. And so when we try to show up as guru, I spend most of the first 3 minutes going, do I trust this person? Oh, they're so perfect. Okay, so he still has those abs and he's 62 years old. You're off balance, sir. Enjoy a pizza and a cookie. Like you in the gym too much. Enjoy it. And so I think if you just show up knowing that more people that are listening to you are like you than not. I want people to think they're having a conversation with a friend. I always say I'm a collector of people. Like I like to collect people and talk to them, and and I text randomly, and so I don't know. I didn't say, hey, I'm gonna make humor part of my shtick. I just said I'm gonna show up as Monica, and I don't know how this is gonna go, but I know how to be me. So we gonna see, and I'm gonna trust it, and I'm gonna see what happens. And so I went out there as Monica, and then I went, how'd that go? And then people said, woo! And I said, oh snap! I'm gonna keep showing up as Monica. And so, and I think that's a secret power, and we all have that. Because I don't know about you, but I can see through performative stuff. I'm like, oh gosh, like here we go. You're gonna tell me your long yoga story about breathing, and
Yeah.
and you don't, and I've never seen you do yoga at all ever. You don't even know anything about. So you gotta show up real. You gotta show up real.
Yeah. And I love it. It's the Tony Robbins thing is funny. You're like, no. Um, but so when you say show up as me, and you mentioned that tell your stories, or you told the story of your career ending injury, real is real, and people have very strong BS detectors.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of what you're describing, right? Like, look at this guy. Come on.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
not buying this. And it is definitely part of your winning strategy to show up as you. The fact that you started doing it sort of right away is really, I think, unique, and it's very brave, because I think most people come out and they do think, I need to imitate. I need to do what I think I should do to be successful. And even in the work that I do,
Mhm.
as small as creating a LinkedIn post or article for someone who's trying to announce something, there's been a shift in my career situation. I need to talk about that. How do I do that? Right. And the work that I do is like, we're just going to be you. We're going to
Right.
be you.
Right.
And we're not going to write, I think a lot of it's this unlearning, kind of people that go through, they work in, large corporations. They're groomed in the business world a certain way, to talk a certain way, to act a certain way. And, part of why I didn't ever really like corporate work was because I
Mm.
felt I could not be me.
Right. Right.
Like, this is just so not me. Every day, here I go, I'm getting on the train, I'm going in, I'm sitting in my office, it's made of glass, everybody can see everything I do, doing this meeting, like, I'm sitting in these
Right.
meetings, I'm the only woman in the room, like, and I'm like, this exhausts me, like, this
Yeah.
drains me, and I knew,
I
I was
was
like, I'm
just
gonna
going to say it's not sustaining.
no, and I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know
Right.
where it's gonna go. I don't know like where I'm gonna end up, but I know it's not here. And I'm gonna do this until I figure it out.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of the women I work with who come to me and they say, I need to talk about this. I don't know where to begin. I'm like, well, we need to unlearn all the corporate training and all this, the facade,
Right.
put on when you go into a meeting and you're not being you. You're kind of conforming to the room and the business and the
Right.
rules that are at play and the hierarchy.
Yep.
But the freedom that a client feels when they put something out into the world that is from them, that is authentically them,
Yeah.
is an unbelievable thing to watch.
Right.
And it is scary. It's very,
Right.
very scary. Right. And so for
And
you,
it catches fire, right? Then once they do it, I know they come back to you and they go, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." So it goes back to that, like trusting yourself to go ahead and do it. You said something facade, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have ADHD and unmedicated, so I have to tell you this before I forget. The facade, it's like a Halloween costume, right? Come Halloween, you go to a Halloween costume party. You want to look your best. You create. If you're comfortable in whatever you choose, you wear the costume. It's fun. But there's a part of you that can't wait to take the costume off when you get home, or whenever it's over. You're fine with taking the costume off and putting it away. Sometimes you throw it away because the mask is uncomfortable or whatever, because it's not you. And I think in the corporate space, we put on these Halloween costumes all the time, and then if you keep wearing it, it gets itchy and it's uncomfortable, and you cannot sustain it, and eventually you get frustrated and you rip off the mask and throw it away, and people are like, whoa, what's going on? And I think you have to do that in real life sometimes. Take the freaking Halloween costume off so we can see who you really are, and that's where the comfort is. That's where the greatness is, and who you really are, not who you're pretending to be. Get out the costume, peeps.
yeah, and the greatness is always there, right?
Right.
As long as within a person there is the drive to take off the costume. It's like, don't, there are people that sit and they say, I've accepted this is my situation and
Ah,
I'm not going to leave. Like, how many times did I have a conversation in a corporation where it was like, well, the situation at hand, we're going to merge with this company and, it stinks. I'm like, yeah, but you have the pen,
right. Right.
right? Like, you need to see that there are other opportunities, there are other things. So I think you bringing you to the stage is exactly, part of the magic that you're delivering, and you're getting the phone calls, and
Right.
it's really, really amazing because you did that naturally.
Yeah.
And where it isn't natural for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people that sit in the audiences when you speak are like, I want to be just like her. Like, how
Well,
do I?
yeah, but here's the thing. That's what I'm hoping, because all I did was just be me. There's no smoke and mirrors. There's no, so I don't want to be so far away. People that you're not watching, you can't see. I got my hand way up in there, far away from people. I want people to look up and go, "Oh, Monica said that didn't work out. She did this, and now she's this. Oh, well, shoot, that seems something I can tap into. That seems really accessible." When the president of the United States speaks, no matter, and I don't mean current or former, I'm not getting into politics here. I just pick your favorite one. And what I'm saying is, a lot of us don't think we can be the president of the United States. We're removed from it, right? And I don't want to be removed. I look at this like, how are we figuring this out together? I always say, when you're good, you should be striving to be great. When you're great, you should be striving to be exceptional. And once I figure out exceptional, I'll get back to y'all. But there's always this like level up mentality that I think we should have. If you're a good friend, how can you be a better one? If you're a great leader, what's the next level of leadership? Maybe that's helping somebody get into your spot. Maybe it's eliminating yourself so you can go lead masses instead of just this group. Whatever it is, and if you're not asking yourself that every single day, you will stay sedentary, and then you become that person you just talked about. Oh, I've accepted that this is where I'm going to be. All right, well, look here. Can you lean over a little bit so I can step on your back? Because I'm going up. Since you've decided that you're just going to stay here, at least help me, right? Get up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but if you are, I hate when people think that. I hate when people are like, oh, this is just me. There is no just like me. There is no just. It's like I'm gonna be authentic, but what's the next level? Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the talks that you give, and if you have a current favorite, or, through all the talks that you've given, if one of them stands out as, this was a big moment for me in my speaking career.
Stands out. I am surprised. I kind of have two answers. I am surprised at the work that I've been able to accomplish in the D&I space. I never said to myself, I'm going to be a DE&I and be expert. And I've been able to do that simply by just saying, this is how I feel in the world at times in a what as a Black woman, right? These are the things that maybe you don't know that I think about sometimes. And I'd like to know, Amy, what are some of the things you have to think about as being a woman? And I'd like to know people that identify as a woman, but weren't how they. So I think that really, again, it sounds corny. It's just organic, man. I keep saying the same stuff over and over again. Not trying to bore the listeners here, but it's organic for me. I just told a story and people are like, oh, I never thought about it that way. So I think the stuff that I do, I call it befriending the disruptor. That's the talk. And it's this roller coaster ride of how sexism shows up, how racism shows up, xenophobia shows up, all these things show up in the corporate space, and what can we do about it? And it's not a wag your finger, you better never say this and you better not do this. It's more of just setting an environment where people can tell their stories. And then I've watched how impactful that can be, where somebody on a call that I did came out to their coworkers, and that's because of how we set the stage, how I set the environment that this was going to be a safe space. And I watched, it was virtually, I watched that guy write his coming out letter to his coworkers. And then I watched all the emojis from his coworkers fill up the screen with hearts and applause and other people drying their eyes. And people were like, wait a minute, I thought we were coming to learn about the term microaggression. The definition is, I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing. So I'm really happy and proud of that work. And it's all just for me being a little vulnerable and not trying to be an expert, but just leading a conversation. And so that's a favorite one. I think lately being back in person, oh my gosh, anything in person. Like I'm about sick of the screen. Anything in person is my favorite. And I've been doing a lot of like, you can't take care of the company until you take care of yourself. And the leaders in the company, you can't achieve this group narrative goal unless you take care of the people in the company. Gone are the days of this whole like, leave your problems at the door. All the research shows that that is not, not best practice at all. That's selfish practice, right? And you don't get it. And it's also dumb because you don't get the best work out of your employees. I'm gonna work longer, stronger, faster for you and with you when I know you care. Otherwise, if I get off at 4 o'clock, I'm packing up my desk. I'm pulling out of the parking lot at 3:59. You want to create an environment where people get off at 4 o'clock and they accidentally look up at the clock. It's 5:30 and they go, oh shoot, because I didn't even feel like I was still at work. And so those are the two things. I'm proud of the work that I was able to do in that DEI space. And I'm really, really enjoying this kind of culture, helping companies shift and change and create the culture, being the authors of that and helping them do that. What I do is allow them to do the work. I don't come in with like, you better do this, you better do that. It's more of this, like this journey of helping them self-discover, because that's also going to be what they stick to, right? We all like our own ideas better than anybody else's, right? So if I can help them think that the idea is theirs, psst, don't tell them it was really mine. But then they'll stick to it, and culture's changed.
Yeah. And what a time and a place to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go anywhere or look anywhere now without seeing the shifts that are happening. I mean, sometimes it's like one step forward and three steps back.
yes, say it.
Yeah, but it is all being discussed, and it
Right.
is happening to
Yeah.
whatever extent is happening at the companies across the country and the world. When you talk about creating a safe space and the story that you told, I think what you're describing is you're bringing a genuine curiosity to the DEI and B
Yeah.
space.
Mhm.
um, Bringing your leadership, your coaching skills, your speaking skills, and watching it unfold in real time. Like you said, it surprises me, right? That I'd be doing this, that I'd be having such an impact. It has to be emotional to,
Yeah.
like in some way. In these, you said befriending the disruptor. Like they think they're coming in to get a lecture on microaggression.
Right. Right.
Instead, they have a transformational experience that might
Yeah.
end up being a core memory.
Yeah. I tell them
Not,
it's a roller coaster ride. Like when you go to a theme park, that's how my talks are. They're a roller coaster ride. You get on, you're not really sure. I told you it was going to be fun, but that seems kind of ridiculous, because why would it be? And then I take you up and you're still a little nervous, and then we come down and crash, and maybe somebody's crying or somebody's angry, and then we hit that corner and everybody's got their hands up and we're laughing, and then we're down again and then we're up, and then before you know it, it's over, and people are going, oh man, should we go again? And I go, well, yeah, you can, but that'll cost more. But no, right?
get back in line.
Yeah, I'll be here all week. Right. And so that is, I try to tap into all these emotions, because what I'm trying to do is build relationships quickly with people in 90 minutes, 70 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever the time frame that they've allowed me to do it. And so it can be also draining, right? That's why it's important for me to try to figure out how to practice what I'm preaching and take care of myself, and all of that, because I am showing up and giving myself the emotion, the energy, my personal stories. And there have been people that have sat in a room and said things that were really weird in a DE&I talk. But I think that's okay also. And I remember, Amy, the first time that I got a low score on a survey. And I'm just gonna keep it real. Normally I'm nines and tens. I'm not gonna lie to you, we friends. I'll be crushing it, okay? I'm bad at a lot of things. I'm really good at this. And I got a 1. And I was like, what? Like, who is this person? This can't be. They must have got the scale. They meant 10, but they didn't see the other 0. Like, I was rationalizing. There is no way. And then I thought about it, and I could almost now, going back thinking about the class, of who the person was. And then I thought, you know what? When you're talking about this subject, if you don't get a couple ones, zeros, and twos, you're not doing the job right. So then I started looking for those, right? Like, because I want change. If everybody just feels great, it's not meant for everybody to feel great. It's meant for people to talk, be willing to have the conversation. But if I expose something in there, not intentionally, I ruffled your feathers, because I just said, and you just heard all your coworkers agree and say how they feel, and you have a different, you have to sit with that then. You have to go home. Give me the one. I know you were thinking about it then. I know you weren't playing a game on your computer. You heard what I said and I meant what I said, right? And now you've got to think, and you'll go home And you'll tell somebody, I was at this training today and blah, 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 and I gave her a one. And hopefully the person that you tell that story to will tell you, wow, let's talk about this and you'll change. Or the next time I come around, maybe you'll soften, but at least you heard it. I planted the seed. So right now in that, I'm looking for tens and I'm looking for ones and zeros. I want to be, I don't want anything in the middle. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. I mean, I could see it. You said I want change, right?
Yep.
You are bringing people into an emotional environment. Some people aren't ready for that. Some people are like, no,
Right.
like
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I don't want to feel this. I
Exactly.
don't want to feel this, but I get it. It's like letting them feel it, letting them sit with it, bringing the laughter, bringing the emotion. I want to get in line for the ride, like I want to see, this rolled out in real time. So I think you're bringing this incredible talent, now in this time and place where
Yeah.
it is so needed. And I think the talks that you give are probably so refreshing and inspiring. Like, you know, you're sparking emotions, you're making people laugh, you're teaching them something. And so everything that you include all the descriptors like jobs 1 through 14, like you're kind of doing them all at once, gathering all of your experience, delivering it. You're clearly leaving it all out there on the table. If we had more time, we talk about this idea of like absorbing the energy and how that can become draining for someone that,
Yeah.
does this for a living.
That's a whole nother hour.
It's
Yeah.
a whole
We'll
other hour to talk about,
have
we
that.
don't have. So let's talk about the next big win you're working toward as a business owner.
Yeah. So as a business owner, full disclosure, right now I only get paid when I'm in the room. Right. So like I am when I'm on stage, when I'm doing a podcast interview, when I'm somewhere, that's the only time that my business has an opportunity to make revenue. And so the next thing for Monica is to scale. Right. So now I want to have a product that is making me money that can do the same messaging without me being there. So I tried to clone myself, but that costs a lot and the science is still a little iffy. I didn't know if you were going to get the good Monica or the bad one. The second one, I'm already a Gemini, so I already felt like this could be possible. But I think what I'm going to do is put the cloning on the shelf for right now and do something a little more simpler, like a class, where I'm teaching people. It's bizarre to me that still public speaking is the number one fear. And it is the thing that I don't have any fear attached to at all. The windmills, when you're driving down and you're traveling, those big, big windmills, I'm scared of those. Put me on stage with 5,000 people. Whew, it's cake. It's easy for me. Make me watch a windmill, right? I'm gonna fall apart and have a whole panic attack, right? So the next phase of the business is an opportunity for people to work on that skill. Well, I'll walk them through how to be a better public speaker, and even if it's not for stage and for pay, I think the ability to be able to effectively communicate. Everybody, when you go to do a presentation for your job, when you go to go in and ask for a promotion or salary, just these little nuances, luxury language, these things that you can say and do to drive and help get the whatever that outcome is that you desire from the person or people that you're sitting across. So I want to help people tell their stories better, be able to really get what they want and desire through communication. And I think that I have been blessed that this is in my wheelhouse to do. And so I want to share that while also achieving that business goal of not having to be there in order for them to do that. So, and then every single day I get up, I look at every day above ground is another chapter in the book that I'll write soon. So I just need some more time, but all these experiences will be in it. And, it's going to be a big book because everybody's getting a shout out and I know a bunch of people. So I got to find that out. But immediately is going to be helping people with their story and being able to communicate that. And we're launching that right before summer. May, I want to do it around my birthday as a present to myself because it's been a lot of hard work. And May 27th is Monica's birthday. For everybody that wants to send me a little happy birthday message, that I just want y'all to know, May 27th. Thank you. Okay.
I love it. Okay, so there's a book in your future. There
Yeah.
is an online education component coming,
Yes.
and they can find these on your website.
Well, yes, you will be able to. Now you're gonna make my assistant go, why did you say that? Now I've got to redo the website. Coming soon, okay? Coming soon. But it will be announced on Instagram, LinkedIn when it's available. But yes, for your listeners, we want to let them know that it is definitely coming in May. And May 27th is my birthday, so we want to drop right after that, if not on that day.
Happy birthday to Monica.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
new business model that's gonna, run on its own and bring in lots of revenue and impact so many people. The thing that I had in my head was this bring yourself to the stage theme,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When I think about the work that you do and the conversation that we just had, you're on stage literally, right? But the world is
yeah,
the stage, right? And so
absolutely.
bringing yourself to the stage, being who you are, having a plan, but being ready to pivot. These are all the themes we talked about. And, the other thing is like having a vision, right? So I think in a lot of the stories you told me, there was a vision was a part of it, like
Yeah.
looking forward, not just looking down, not just being at the present moment, but looking forward at, how could this become something? What is, this going to evolve into? And how can I make sure that I'm kind of catching it and capturing it,
Yeah,
letting
yeah,
it go? So I
yeah,
really enjoyed this conversation, all the themes that came up in your incredible journey. So social media, do you have one that you like the most or?
yeah. I mean, I suck at social media. I'm terrible at it. It's been the bane of my existence here. I post. Yes, my LinkedIn is probably where I'm the most active. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I need a social media person, so I'm looking to hire somebody. Holler at me. So Monica D Livingston on LinkedIn, Livingston 3636 on Instagram, Livingston 3636 on Twitter, and Monica G. Livingston on Facebook as well. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm not scared of people reaching out. Give phone number 703-898-2754. Shoot me a text. That's what I sell. I don't care. I don't care. Right? So I'm easy to find.
Right. And so I'll include all that information in the show notes, but thank you so much for taking this time to bring me and all the listeners into the world that you're in and the work that you do. And I'm sure that I hope that you'll get a couple calls, after people hear this conversation. I'm sure that you will. So thanks for all the time and for the impactful work that you're doing.
Thank you. And Amy, thank you for having a show where people can share their wins, especially, women can share their wins and listen to each other, because I truly believe when you hear it and see it, then you can be it. And so the work that you're doing is transformative for many communities. So shout out to you. And I'm just happy that you found me and tracked me down to have you here, because I'm in really, really good company. So I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Keep winning.